Architect sees street kid make his depressed nephew laugh and changes his life. Julian Vance was leaving his architecture office in Manhattan, carrying a briefcase full of million-dollar projects, when something impossible happened before his eyes. His 7-year-old nephew, Toby, who hadn't cracked a smile in 4 months since losing his parents in a car accident, was laughing in a way he hadn't seen since before the tragedy. The boy was sitting on the sidewalk next to a barefoot black boy, who couldn't have been more than 10 years old. The street kid was juggling colorful stones that seemed to dance in the air, telling a story about a kingdom where the stones were enchanted diamonds. And then the Prince of Stones said to the princess, "Don't cry anymore because each of your tears becomes a star in the sky," said the boy, tossing the stones into the air with impressive skill. Toby was clapping, his eyes shining with a joy that none of the 5 psychologists Julian had hired had managed to awaken. The architect stopped in his tracks, afraid that any movement from him might break that magical moment. "Uncle Julian!" Toby saw him and ran toward him. "Come see what Leo is doing. He knows real magic." When Julian approached hesitantly, the street kid looked at him with a cautious expression. He had clever eyes and a shy smile, but there was something about him that conveyed a wisdom beyond his years. "Are you Toby's uncle?" asked Leo, gathering the stones in his hands. "Yes, I am." "And you are?" "Leo. I live around here," replied the boy, vaguely pointing down the street. Julian noticed the boy's clothes were clean, though patched, and that he spoke politely. Before he could ask more questions, Leo quickly stood up. "I have to go now. Bye, Toby. Tomorrow I'll tell the end of the story about the magic stones, okay? Wait." Toby tried to hold his friend's hand. "Don't go yet." But Leo was already running down the street, disappearing among the pedestrians, leaving only a drawing on the ground made with charcoal. It was a simple castle, but with architectural details surprising for a child. On the way home, Toby wouldn't stop talking about Leo and his stories. It was the first time in months that Julian had seen his nephew like this. Excited, talkative. The change was so drastic, it was almost unsettling. "Uncle, can we go back there tomorrow? Leo said he was going to teach me the stone magic trick." Julian hesitated. He knew nothing about that boy, and Catherine, his sister and Toby's legal guardian, certainly wouldn't approve. Since taking custody of her nephew, she had become extremely protective, almost paranoid. "We'll see, Toby. Now let's go home. Your aunt is waiting." That night during dinner, Toby excitedly told Catherine about Leo. The 35-year-old woman listened with an increasingly worried expression. "Julian, we need to talk," she said when Toby went to his room. In the living room, Catherine minced no words. "Have you lost your mind? How could you let Toby stay on the street with a boy we don't know? A street kid, no less. Catherine, did you see how happy Toby was today? It's been months since he showed any emotion. What if this boy is involved with bad things? What if he's dangerous? Toby is a vulnerable child. He just lost his parents. Anyone could take advantage of him." Julian tried to argue, but Catherine was determined. "I strictly forbid any contact with that boy. Tomorrow you will explain to Toby that he can't see him anymore, and I don't want to hear another word about it." The next day, when they left for the office, Toby begged to pass by the same spot. Julian tried to change the subject, but the boy insisted so much that he ended up giving in, imagining that Leo probably wouldn't be there anyway. To his surprise, the boy was sitting on the same sidewalk, this time drawing on the ground with colored charcoal he seemed to have gotten from somewhere. "Leo!" Toby ran to him before Julian could stop him. "Hi, Toby. Look, I'm drawing the castle from yesterday's story. Want to help me?" What Julian saw on the ground left him speechless. It wasn't just a child's drawing. It was a detailed architectural plan with perspectives, correct proportions, even indications of materials and structures that an ordinary child wouldn't know about. "Leo, where did you learn to draw like that?" asked Julian, crouching down beside the boys. The boy shrugged. "I don't know. I like to look at buildings and imagine how they were made. Sometimes I spend hours looking at constructions, trying to understand how the bricks stay on top of each other." Toby was fascinated, adding simple details to the drawing, while Leo explained each part of the plan as if he were a real architect. "Uncle Julian, you could hire Leo to work with you. He draws better than me," said Toby innocently. Leo laughed, but Julian noticed a different sparkle in the boy's eyes when the subject was architecture. There was an impressive natural talent there. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Leo, where do you live? Julian asked carefully. The boy's expression changed immediately. He stopped drawing and became more serious. Around. I have my spots. Do you have a family? Leo was quiet for a while, then answered, I did. Now I just have the street. Julian felt his heart tighten. There was something about that boy that touched him in a way he couldn't explain. Maybe it was the obvious talent, maybe it was the way he made Toby smile, or maybe it was simply the vulnerability he tried to hide behind his cleverness. Listen, Leo, if you need anything, any help— I don't need charity, the boy replied quickly, standing up. I'm not a beggar. I know how to get by on my own. I wasn't offering charity, I was offering friendship. Leo stared at him for a moment, as if trying to figure out if Julian was being sincere. Then he looked at Toby, who was finishing painting a little flower on the drawing. Can I come back tomorrow to play with Toby? He asked hesitantly. Julian knew he was going against Catherine, but he couldn't say no. Yes, you can. We'll be here. When they got home, Julian lied to his sister, saying they hadn't found the street kid. Toby, sensing the tension, didn't mention the encounter. That night in his room, the boy drew the castle Leo had made, trying to reproduce every detail. In the following days, Julian started leaving the office earlier to allow Toby to spend time with Leo. The meetings always happened in the same place, on the sidewalk in front of a closed bank. Leo always had a new story to tell, always involving surprising architectural drawings. Within a week, Toby changed completely. He started speaking spontaneously again, asking questions, showing curiosity about the world. Even at school, the teachers noticed the change, commenting to Catherine about the improvement in the boy's behavior and school performance. He's so different, the teacher commented during a phone conversation. More engaged, happier. Have you started any new treatment? Catherine was intrigued. Julian hadn't mentioned any change in Toby's routine, but clearly something was different. She decided to investigate. One afternoon, she discreetly followed Julian and Toby when they left. She saw the two stop on the sidewalk and Toby run to hug a barefoot black boy. Her blood boiled. Hidden behind a pole, Catherine watched the interaction. The street kid was teaching Toby how to stack stones in a way that formed a stable structure, explaining basic concepts of balance and weight. Toby was completely absorbed, asking smart questions. Look, Toby, if you put the bigger stone at the bottom, it holds the weight of the others. It's like in big buildings. The foundation has to be strong to hold everything on top, explained Leo with impressive naturalness. How do you know these things? Asked Toby. I watch the constructions, and sometimes I talk to the workers on their breaks. They explain some things to me. Catherine was torn between anger at being deceived by her brother and admiration for the street kid's intelligence. There was something about him that was different from what she had imagined. When Julian and Toby returned home, she was waiting for them in the living room with her arms crossed. You two have something to explain to me, she said, serious. Toby looked at his uncle with wide eyes. Julian sighed. Catherine, I can explain. I really hope you can. Because I saw you with that boy this afternoon. Toby started to cry. Aunt Catherine, please don't be mad at Uncle Julian. It's not his fault. I'm the one who asked to see Leo. He's my friend. Toby, go to your room. I need to talk with your uncle. But Aunt— Now, Toby. When they were alone, Catherine exploded. How could you lie to my face? How could you put Toby's safety at risk? Catherine, have you seen Toby in the last few weeks? He's different, he's better. He's better based on lies. What if that boy is dangerous? What if he teaches Toby the wrong things? What I saw today was him teaching engineering concepts to our nephew. That kid has an impressive talent. Talent? Julian, he's a street kid. We know nothing about him, about where he came from, why he's on the street, what kind of people he knows. The argument continued for hours. Catherine was inflexible. Toby could no longer have contact with Leo. Julian tried to argue about their nephew's improvement, but she wouldn't listen. Starting tomorrow, you will pick Toby up directly from school and come straight to the office. No stops along the way. Understood? That night, Toby couldn't sleep. He cried softly into his pillow, worried about Leo. What if he kept waiting on the sidewalk? What if he thought they didn't want to be his friends anymore? The next day, Julian did as Catherine ordered. He picked Toby up from school and went straight to the office. But when they passed the sidewalk where they always met Leo, they saw the boy sitting there, looking expectant. Toby started to cry. "Uncle, stop the car. Leo is waiting for us." "I can't, Toby. Your aunt forbade it." "But he'll be sad. He'll think we don't like him anymore." Julian's heart broke seeing Toby's despair, but he couldn't defy Catherine again. He accelerated the car and drove straight past. Leo saw the car passing and waved excitedly to Toby, who was pressed against the rear window, crying and waving back. When the car disappeared around the corner, the street kid's expression changed. He understood what had happened. For 3 consecutive days, Leo waited on the sidewalk. On the first day, he stayed until late afternoon. On the second, until night. On the third day, he waited only an hour and left. Toby fell into a deep crisis. He returned to mutism, refused food, woke up in the middle of the night crying. The gains of the last few months were lost in a matter of days. "See what you've done?" Catherine accused her brother. "He created an emotional dependency in Toby, and now he's worse than before. He's missing his friend. That's normal. Normal is him getting over it and moving on. I'll schedule an emergency appointment with the psychologist." The psychologist, Dr. Sarah, listened carefully to Catherine's account of the situation. When she mentioned the significant improvement Toby had shown when he was spending time with Leo, the professional raised her eyebrows. "Catherine, from what you're telling me, this boy had a very positive impact on Toby. It's unusual for a child in deep mourning to respond so well to a friendship like that." "But doctor, he's a street kid. We know nothing about him." "What you do know is that he made Toby smile again. That's not a small thing. Perhaps you should get to know this Leo better before cutting off all contact completely." Catherine left the appointment unsettled. That wasn't what she wanted to hear. That night, she found Toby crying in his room, holding a crumpled drawing. "What's that, sweetie?" she asked, sitting on the bed. "It's the castle Leo and I made together. Aunt Catherine, do you think he's going hungry? Does he have a place to sleep?" Toby's innocent question touched Catherine in an unexpected way. For a moment she managed to see Leo not as a threat, but as a child who also needed care. "I don't know, sweetie. Why are you worried?" "Because he took care of me when I was sad. Now I want to take care of him too." That night, Catherine couldn't sleep. She thought about the conversation with the psychologist, Toby's words, the drastic change in her nephew's behavior. Maybe she was being unfair. The next day, without telling Julian, she went to the area where she knew Leo usually stayed. She looked for him around, asked some shopkeepers. An ice cream vendor informed her, "Oh, Leo, smart kid, that one, always polite, never begs. Sells some drawings over there in the square, but I haven't seen him for a few days." Catherine kept looking. A lady who worked at a diner directed her. "There's an abandoned construction site on the back street. Some kids hang out there. Maybe you'll find him." The place was an unfinished building, a project that had been shut down years ago. Catherine hesitated before entering, but her concern for Toby motivated her. On the ground floor of the building, she found signs of occupancy, old blankets, some empty cans, drawings on the walls. "Leo," she called hesitantly. She heard a noise from the floor above. She carefully climbed the unfinished stairs. On the second floor, she found Leo curled up in a corner, visibly feverish and sick. "Leo? Are you okay?" The boy looked at her, frightened, tried to get up to run away, but was too weak. I didn't do anything wrong," he murmured. "I know you didn't. I'm Miguel's aunt. I came looking for you because he's worried." Leo relaxed a little upon hearing Toby's name. How is he?" "Sad. He misses you a lot. I didn't want to cause trouble for you. That's why I stopped going there." Catherine felt her heart tighten. That boy, even sick and abandoned, was worried about not causing trouble for them. "Leo, you have a fever. You need medical help." "I don't need it. It'll pass." "Yes, you do. Come with me." Leo tried to refuse, but he was too weak to resist. Catherine helped him up and took him to the car. During the trip to the hospital, he alternated between delirium and lucidity. You won't let them take me back, will you?" he murmured, clutching Catherine's hand. "Take you back where?" "To the bad place, where they hurt us." Catherine felt a chill down her spine. What place was that? What had happened to Leo? At the hospital, the doctors confirmed Leo had pneumonia. He would need to be hospitalized for a few days. That's when the social worker appeared to talk to Catherine. "Are you related to the child?" the woman asked. "Not exactly. I'm an acquaintance. I found him sick and brought him here." "I see. I'll need to contact Child Protective Services." "Leo is a child in a situation of social vulnerability." "Wait, you already know him?" The social worker consulted some papers. Leo Hayes Miller, 10 years old, ran away from the Hope Haven shelter 2 months ago, had been under the institution's care since he was 8. Why did he run away? The woman hesitated. "I can't give many details, but there were irregularities at the institution. It's under investigation. Some cases of mistreatment were reported." Catherine immediately understood why Leo was so afraid of being taken back. The boy had fled from an abusive situation. And now, what will happen to him? He needs to be placed in another institution. There's a temporary shelter that can take him until we decide on the best solution. That night, Catherine told Julian everything, about finding Leo sick, about his past at the shelter, about the mistreatment. Julian was shocked. "That's why he knows so much about construction," he said. "Must have learned by living in abandoned buildings, watching construction sites." "Julian, what do we do? The social worker said he'll be placed in another shelter, but what if it's bad too? What if he runs away again?" "I don't know, Catherine. It's a very complex situation. I want to see him tomorrow. I want to take Toby along." Julian was surprised. "I thought you didn't want them to meet." "I changed my mind. Today I saw a frightened, sick child with no one in the world. He's not a threat, Julian. He's a victim." The next day, when Toby learned they were going to visit Leo at the hospital, he was thrilled. It was the first smile he'd given since the meetings had been forbidden. At the hospital, Leo was awake, but still weak. When he saw Toby enter the room, his eyes filled with tears. "Toby, I thought I'd never see you again." "Leo, I missed you. I brought a drawing for you." Toby showed a paper where he had drawn the two of them playing on the sidewalk. It was a simple child's drawing, but full of affection. "I'll keep it forever," said Leo, smiling. Catherine watched the interaction between the boys. There was a genuine, pure friendship there, one that transcended social differences. Leo treated Toby with care, but also respected him, never asked for anything, never behaved like a victim. "Leo," she said, "the social worker told me you're going to a new shelter when you leave the hospital." The smile vanished from the boy's face. "Yeah, it'll be far from here, right? I won't be able to see Toby anymore." What if there was an alternative? Leo looked at her, not understanding. What kind of alternative? What if someone wanted to take care of you, give you a home, a family? Leo's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "I am. But it's complicated. There are laws, processes. I don't know if it would be possible." Leo was quiet for a while, then said, "I don't want to be a burden to anyone. I can manage on my own." "You wouldn't be a burden," Toby interjected. "You'd be my brother." The word brother echoed in the room. Catherine felt her heart tighten. There was no denying it. There was a bond there that went beyond friendship. When they left the hospital, Toby was beaming. "Aunt Catherine, can we really adopt Leo?" "I don't know, sweetheart. It's very complicated. Uncle Julian is single, works a lot. The laws prefer traditional families for adoption." "But you could adopt. You're like a mum to me." Catherine stopped walking. The idea had crossed her mind, but she hadn't had the courage to say it out loud. Adopting Leo would mean changing your entire life, taking on a huge responsibility for a child who has suffered trauma. "Toby, adoption is a very serious thing. It's not like having a pet. It's forever." "I know. That's exactly why it has to be Leo. He's already part of our family and our hearts. That night, Catherine couldn't stop thinking about the conversation. She called Toby's psychologist. "Dr. Sarah, I need your opinion on something." She told her the whole situation, the discovery about Leo's past, Toby's reaction, the possibility of adoption. The psychologist listened carefully. "Catherine, from a therapeutic standpoint, this situation could be very positive for Toby. He was suffering from complicated grief, and Leo has become a healing factor. Also, caring for someone can help him process his own pain. But what about the risks? Leo has been through trauma. He might have behavioral issues." Every adoption process involves risks, but from what you describe, this boy shows resilience, emotional intelligence, and ability to form healthy bonds. Those are very positive signs. And the practical aspect? I have work, commitments. You already take care of Toby by yourself. Caring for 2 children would be more work, but not impossible, especially considering they support each other. When Catherine hung up the phone, her mind was clearer. The idea wasn't absurd, it was challenging, but not impossible. The next day, she sought out a lawyer specializing in child and adolescent law. She explained the situation and asked about the feasibility of an adoption. "Well, Mrs. Catherine, the adoption process in the United States is complex, but not impossible. The fact that you already have custody of 1 child demonstrates your capability to care for a child, and the fact that Leo is in a vulnerable situation could speed up the process." "What are the next steps?" "First, we need to speak with the social worker assigned to the case, then start the adoption qualification process. It might take a few months, but it's feasible." Catherine left the lawyer's office with a strange feeling in her chest. Was she really considering this? Adopting a street kid she had met only a few weeks ago. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. That afternoon, she went to the hospital again. Leo was better, already able to sit up in bed. He was drawing something in a notebook a nurse had given him. "What are you doing?" asked Catherine, sitting by the bed. "I'm drawing what a house where me, you, Uncle Julian and Toby could all live together would look like," replied Leo shyly. Catherine looked at the drawing. It was a simple but cozy house with 4 bedrooms, a large living room, a garden. In the details, Leo had drawn a family, 2 children playing in the garden, 2 adults watching from the window. "It's a very beautiful drawing," she said, her voice choked up. "It's just a dream. I know it's not possible." "Why do you think it's not possible?" Leo stopped drawing and looked at her. "Because people like you don't adopt people like me. That's how the world works. What if I told you the world could work differently?" The boy stared at her, trying to figure out if she was serious. "Mrs. Catherine, are you saying that—" "I'm saying I spoke with a lawyer today about the possibility of adopting you." Leo dropped the pencil. His eyes filled with tears. "Really? Really? It won't be easy. It will take some time. But it's possible." Leo began to cry. Not a cry of sadness, but of relief, of hope, of gratitude. "I promise I'll be a good son. I promise I won't be any trouble. I'll study hard. I'll help around the house. I'll take care of Toby." Catherine hugged him. "Leo, you don't need to promise anything. You just need to be yourself. It was by being yourself that you won our hearts." That night, Catherine told Julian about her decision. He was surprised, but fully supported his sister. "Catherine, if there's anyone capable of giving love and stability to this boy, it's you. And it will be good for Toby, too. He needs a brother." "Do you really think I'm doing the right thing?" "I think you're doing the courageous thing. And usually the courageous thing is the right thing." The adoption process began the following week. Catherine went through interviews, psychological evaluations, home visits. Each step confirmed that she was capable of caring for Leo. Meanwhile, Leo left the hospital and was placed in a temporary shelter. It was a well-run institution with caring staff, but the boy was anxious to know the outcome of the adoption process. Toby was inconsolable in the first days without Leo. He cried, asking to visit his friend, not understanding why they couldn't live together immediately. "Aunt Catherine, why is the law so complicated?" he asked one night. "The law exists to protect children, my love. It wants to be sure that whoever adopts will take good care of the child, but we already know we'll take good care of Leo. We know, but the law needs to be sure too." During this period, Catherine visited Leo twice a week at the shelter. She took Toby along whenever possible. The visits were supervised, but gradually became more natural. Leo adapted well to the shelter, but it was obvious he was just waiting. In conversations with Catherine, he talked about plans for when they would live together, how he would help Toby with homework, how he would learn to cook to help her, how he would study hard to become a real architect like Julian. "Leo," said Catherine during one visit, "are you sure you want to be adopted by me? It's a very important decision for you too." "I'm absolutely sure," he replied without hesitation. "You gave me the first family I've ever had." "You don't remember your biological family?" Leo was quiet for a moment. "I remember my mother a little. She died when I was 5. I never met my father. After that it was just shelters and more shelters. And the bad shelter where you were before. I don't like to talk about that. But I don't want to think about the past anymore. I just want to think about the future with you." Leo's determination to move forward, even after everything he had been through, impressed Catherine. That boy had exceptional inner strength. 3 months later, the adoption hearing finally arrived. Catherine, Julian, Toby, and Leo went to the courthouse with the lawyer. The judge, a serious but kind man, heard from everyone involved. "Leo," said the judge, "do you understand what it means to be adopted?" "I do, Your Honor. It means I'll have a real family forever." "And you want this?" "It's what I want most in the world." The judge looked at Toby. "Toby, how do you feel about the possibility of having Leo as a brother?" "Very happy, Your Honor. Leo is my best friend and he's going to be the best brother in the world." "Catherine," said the judge, "do you understand the responsibility you are undertaking?" "I understand perfectly, Your Honor. I am prepared to give Leo love, education, and stability for as long as necessary." The judge reviewed the case file, spoke briefly with the social worker, and then pronounced the judgment. "I grant the adoption petition. Leo Hayes Miller shall now be called Leo Hayes Miller Vance, son of Catherine Vance, brother of Toby Vance." The moment was emotional. Leo cried with joy, Toby clapped, Catherine and Julian hugged. Finally, they were an official family. The transition to their new life wasn't completely without challenges. Leo had some trouble adapting to the household rules. He was used to the freedom of the streets and sometimes felt suffocated by schedules and routines. One night, 2 weeks after the adoption, Catherine woke up and noticed Leo wasn't in bed. She searched the entire house and couldn't find him. She went out into the street, desperate, imagining he had run away. She found the boy sitting on the sidewalk in front of the house, looking at the stars. "Leo, you scared me. I thought you had run away." "Sorry, Mom, Catherine, I couldn't sleep. I was used to falling asleep looking at the sky." The word Mom made Catherine's heart race. It was the first time Leo had called her that. "You can just call me Catherine, if that's easier." "Can I call you Mom, for real?" "Of course you can. I am your mom now." Leo smiled and leaned against her. "I never had a real mom after mine died. Thank you for letting me have a family again." Catherine hugged him, moved. In that moment she knew she had made the right decision. The following months were a period of adjustment for everyone. Leo enrolled in the same school as Toby. At first some parents showed prejudice, knowing he was a former street kid. But the boy's intelligence and manners soon changed opinions. The teachers were impressed with Leo's knowledge of mathematics and his skill in technical drawing. He was clearly gifted in areas related to engineering and architecture. "Catherine," the principal said in a meeting, "Leo has exceptional potential. He should be referred to a special program for children with high abilities." Catherine talked to Julian about it. He suggested that Leo visit his office to learn more about the profession of architect. The visit was revealing. Leo was fascinated by the projects, asking technical questions that impressed even the most experienced architects on the team. In 1 hour, He managed to understand concepts that normally took architecture students months to grasp. "Julian," one of the firm's partners said afterward, "that boy is a genius. You should invest in his education." "We already are. He'll be going to a private school starting next year." "No, I'm talking about something bigger. A full scholarship to a technical school, supplementary courses, maybe even grade acceleration. That boy could revolutionize American architecture in the future." The idea excited Julian. He talked to Catherine about the possibilities for a specialized education for Leo. "Do you think he's ready for that?" she asked. "Catherine, today I saw a 10-year-old child explain structural concepts I only learned in college. He's not just smart, he has exceptional spatial vision." They decided to talk to Leo about the options. He listened to everything carefully and then asked, "If I go to a different school, will I still live with you?" "Of course," Catherine replied immediately. "And will I still be Toby's brother?" "Forever." Leo smiled. "Then yes, I want to. I want to learn everything about architecture. I want to build beautiful houses for families like ours." The enrollment process at the technical school was complex, but Leo's performance on the tests was so exceptional that he earned a full scholarship. He would study at one of the best technical schools in New York City, specializing in engineering and architecture. Toby was initially sad about the idea of going to a different school than his brother, but Leo comforted him. "Toby, we'll still live together, play together, be brothers. The only difference is that in the morning I'll be at a different school. In the afternoon I'll be home with you." The new routine worked well. Leo immediately stood out at the technical school, becoming one of the top students in his class. Furthermore, he started spending his free afternoons at Julian's office, learning in practice the concepts he studied in theory. 1 year after the adoption, Leo was already a minor celebrity in the office. Clients were impressed to see a child discussing technical aspects of projects with authority. Some began to specifically ask for Leo's opinion on their projects. "He has a different perspective," commented one client. "He can see solutions that we adults can't." That's when Julian had a revolutionary idea. What about creating a special department in the office focused on social projects, coordinated by Leo? Obviously, he was still a child, but it could be a way to channel his talent constructively. The idea evolved into something bigger, a program where Leo would oversee the construction of affordable housing, using his experience of having lived on the street to create designs that truly met the needs of vulnerable families. The first project was a housing complex for low-income families. Leo, only 11 years old, designed compact but functional homes with smart space-saving solutions and natural ventilation. "How do you know these solutions work?" asked the engineer in charge of the construction. "Because I've lived in tight spaces. I know what makes a difference when you don't have much room," Leo replied naturally. The project was a success. The families who moved into the homes were delighted with the details specifically designed for the daily life of those with little money: maximum use of natural light to save energy, multi-use spaces, an integrated but discreet utility area. The impact was so great that an architecture magazine wanted to do a story on Leo. At first, Catherine was apprehensive about the exposure, but Leo was enthusiastic. "Mom, if I appear in the magazine, other people will know it's possible to make good, cheap houses. It could help more families." The article was published with the headline, "The Boy Architect: How a Former Street Kid is Revolutionizing Affordable Housing." The impact was national. Project requests began to arrive from all over the United States. City governments wanted to contract Julian's office specifically to have projects signed by Leo. The boy became a minor celebrity. With fame also came challenges. Leo began to receive too much attention, which sometimes bothered him. There were days when he just wanted to be a normal kid, to play with Toby, to watch cartoons. "Sometimes I miss when nobody knew who I was," he confessed to Catherine one night. "Leo, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. If you want to stop with the projects." "I don't want to stop. I like making houses. I just wish people saw me as a normal kid too, not just as the boy prodigy." Catherine understood the dilemma. She talked with Julian about the need to protect Leo's childhood. Even with all the exceptional talent he demonstrated, they decided to set limits. Leo would work on projects only 2 afternoons a week. The rest of the time would be dedicated to normal childhood activities. No interviews without Catherine present. No commitments that interfered with school or family time. The rules worked well. Leo continued to shine professionally, but also had time to be a child. He played with Toby, made a mess at home, watched superhero movies, collected Battle Quest cards. Toby, in turn, had developed a great deal emotionally. Leo's presence had helped him overcome the trauma of losing his parents. He had become a happy, sociable, curious child again. At school, he always spoke proudly of his famous brother. "My brother is an architect," he would tell his classmates. "He's even been on TV." The relationship between the two brothers was beautiful to see. Leo always protected Toby, helped with homework, and made up games. Toby, in turn, kept Leo connected to childhood, reminding him that he was just a kid too. Catherine watched all of this with a sense of fulfillment. Her life had changed completely since she decided to adopt Leo, but it had changed for the better. She discovered she was a more complete, more courageous, more generous mother. Julian had also transformed. Working with Leo inspired him to give a social dimension to his work. The firm now specialized in projects for underprivileged communities, becoming a national reference for affordable housing. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. 2 years after the adoption, the Vance family faced their first major challenge. The old institution where Leo had suffered mistreatment was being investigated by the district attorney's office, and he was called to testify as a witness. "I don't want to go," said Leo, visibly shaken. "I don't want to remember that." "You don't have to go if you don't want to," said Catherine. "No one can force you. But if I don't go, could they keep hurting other kids?" Julian explained the situation carefully. "Leo, your testimony could help the justice system punish those who hurt you and other children, but it's your decision." Leo was silent for a long time. Then he said, "I'll go. But will you come with me?" "Of course we will," Catherine replied immediately. The day of the testimony was difficult. Leo, now 12 years old, had to recall traumatic episodes from his childhood. He spoke about neglect, about staff who hit the children, about spoiled food, about overcrowded rooms. "They said we were worthless," Leo told the prosecutor, "that no one would miss us if we disappeared." Catherine and Julian witnessed it all, heartbroken. Even after 2 years of love and care, the scars from the past were still there. When they left the courthouse, Leo was emotionally exhausted. He cried in the car, hugging Catherine. "Thank you for taking me out of that place," he said. "Thank you for giving me a real family." Leo's testimony was decisive in convicting those responsible for the mistreatment. The institution was shut down, and other boys were transferred to safe places. Leo felt proud of having helped other children, even after going through that difficulty. During this time, Toby also showed his emotional maturity. Sensing his brother was shaken, he became even more affectionate and attentive. He drew pictures for Leo, made up jokes to make him laugh, and slept in the same room so he wouldn't feel alone. "Toby is the best brother in the world," Leo told Catherine one night. "He helps me forget the bad things from the past." The experience strengthened the family bonds even more. They realized they could face any challenge together. At 13, Leo was in high school, studying full-time at a technical school. His architectural projects had evolved significantly. He could now think in terms of entire cities, not just isolated houses. His final technical course project was ambitious, a proposal for urban revitalization for the Manhattan region, including affordable housing, community spaces, and green areas. "Leo," said the advising professor, "this project is at a master's level in urban planning. How did you manage to develop such a comprehensive vision of the city?" "I walked all over the city when I lived on the streets," answered Leo. "I saw the problems up close. Now I have the technical knowledge to think about solutions." The project caught the attention of the New York City administration. The housing secretary invited Leo for a meeting. "Young man, your project is impressive. We'd like to hire you as a consultant for our housing programs." Leo was flattered but explained, "Mr. Secretary, I'm only 13 years old. I haven't even finished high school yet." "Age doesn't matter when you have talent. You understand the reality of the vulnerable population, like no one else. That's worth more than any diploma. The proposal caused controversy. Some media outlets questioned hiring a child for a technical position. Others argued that Leo had more practical knowledge about public housing than many professionals with degrees. Catherine was torn. On one hand, it was a unique opportunity for Leo. On the other, she didn't want him to lose his childhood completely. "Mom, I want to accept," said Leo. "I can help many families who are going through what I went through. But you're still too young for so much responsibility. I know I'm young, but I also know I have knowledge that can make a difference, and you'll always be there to guide me." After much family discussion, they decided to accept the city's proposal, but with conditions. Leo would work only on weekends, would remain focused on his studies, and at any sign that he was being harmed academically or emotionally, he would leave immediately. The work at the City Hall was another stage of growth for Leo. He learned about bureaucracy, politics, public budgets. He discovered that building houses wasn't just a technical issue, but also a political and social one. His first official project for the city was a housing complex for 500 families. Leo insisted on speaking personally with the families who would benefit to understand their specific needs. "Why do you want to know where I work?" asked a woman during one of the interviews. "Because if you work far away, the house needs to have easy access to public transportation. If you work nearby, we can invest more in recreational areas in the complex," explained Leo. The level of detail Leo put into the projects impressed everyone. He thought about each family, each specific need. The result was a revolutionary housing project, homes that adapted to different family profiles with smart solutions for urban mobility, sustainability, and social integration. The inauguration of the housing complex was an emotional event. Leo, now 14 years old, gave a speech to hundreds of people. "When I lived on the street, I dreamed of having a house. Not just any house, but a home. A place where I could be happy, safe, where I could dream about the future. Today, 500 families will have that opportunity. That makes me prouder than any award I could receive." The speech moved everyone. Several families approached Leo to thank him personally. An elderly woman said, "My child, thank you for thinking of us. This house is the fulfillment of a 30-year dream." Leo cried with emotion. That was the true meaning of his work, transforming lives through architecture. The national impact was immense. Leo began to be invited to give lectures at universities, architecture conferences, international events. Always with Catherine or Julian by his side, always focused on keeping his feet on the ground. Toby, now 10 years old, was proud of his brother, but sometimes felt jealous of the attention Leo received. "Aunt Catherine," he said one night, "sometimes I feel like Leo is more important than me." Catherine hugged her nephew. "Julian, you and Leo are equally important to me. You're the one who keeps Leo connected to childhood, to normalcy. Without you, he wouldn't be the well-adjusted person he is today." Is that true? It's true. Leo may be an architectural genius, but you're the genius of joy. You're the one who makes our house a real home. Catherine's words reassured Julian. He understood that each person in the family had their important role and everyone was essential. At 15, Leo was finishing high school. He had received offers from several American and European universities to study abroad for his undergraduate degree, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to leave the United States. "Mom, I want to study abroad to learn more, but I don't want to leave you all," he said to Catherine. "Leo, you need to follow your dreams. You can't limit your potential because of us. You are part of my dreams. A family isn't a limitation, it's support." The conversation sparked deep reflection in the family. Julian suggested a creative solution. "What if the whole family moved? I can open an office abroad, Catherine can work anywhere, when we don't need to be apart." The idea seemed crazy, but it made sense. Leo could study at the best architecture school in the world, and the family would stay together. After much thought, Leo made a decision. "I won't study abroad right now. I want to do my undergraduate degree in the United States, continue my work with affordable housing. Later, maybe, I'll do a master's abroad. But my foundation is here." The decision surprised everyone, but it made sense. Leo had found his life's mission, to use his talent to solve the United States housing problems. He didn't want to abandon that to study abstract theories abroad. He took the entrance exam for architecture and urban planning at Hudson University and placed first, with the highest score in the exam's history. The news made headlines in all the newspapers. But what made Leo most proud was being able to continue living with his family, continue being Julian's brother, continue having Catherine as his mother and Julian as his father. On university enrollment day, the whole family went together. Leo, now 16, was anxious about this new stage. "I'm nervous," he confessed to Julian in the car. "Why? You already know more than the professors." Knowing technique is one thing. Socializing with people my own age is another. I've never really had friends my own age. Only you, and you're my brother. Julian held Leo's hand. "Leo, you're the coolest person I know. Everyone will want to be your friend." At university, Leo really caused a sensation. Everyone knew him from the newspapers and television, but they were surprised to discover he was a simple, humble person, without arrogance. He soon made genuine friends, who saw him not as a celebrity, but as a talented and generous classmate. For the first time in his life, Leo had a normal university experience: studies, friends, parties, dating. Yes, at 17, Leo fell in love. Chloe was a classmate, the daughter of a middle-class family from New York City. When she met him, she had no idea who he was. "You draw very well," she said, looking at a project Leo was working on. "Have you ever thought about being an architect?" Leo laughed. "That's exactly what I'm studying to be." "Oh, right. Sorry, sometimes I'm a bit scatterbrained." Chloe's naivete charmed Leo. It was refreshing to talk to someone who saw him just as a normal person. When Leo told Catherine about Chloe, she was worried. "Son, are you sure she likes you for real? Not just for your fame?" "Mom, when we met, she didn't even know who I was. And even after she found out, nothing changed. She still treats me the same." The first official meeting between Leo and Chloe was at home, to introduce her to the family. Catherine prepared a special dinner. Toby was eager to meet his brother's girlfriend. Julian was curious. Chloe fit into the family perfectly. She was affectionate, spontaneous, treated Toby like a younger brother, respected Catherine as Leo's mother, and admired Julian professionally. "I liked her," Toby said to Leo afterward. "She's cool with me and doesn't treat me like a little kid." "I liked her too," said Catherine. "She's genuine. She's not interested in your fame." Leo's relationship was another element of normality in his life. He needed that, typical teenage experiences to keep him emotionally balanced. During his undergraduate studies, Leo continued working on social projects, but now with a more academic perspective. His professors were impressed by the maturity of his projects. In his third year, he developed his senior thesis, a replicable model for affordable housing that could be adapted to different regions of the United States, considering climate, local culture, and available resources. The thesis gained international attention. Leo received invitations to present it at conferences in Europe and the United States. "Now I'll accept going abroad," he told Catherine, "but only to present the work and come back. My life is here." The international presentations were a success. Leo was invited to join a UN program for housing in developing countries. It was a unique opportunity to apply his knowledge on a global scale. "Leo," said the UN representative, "you could be our youngest consultant in history. Your work could impact millions of people worldwide." It was tempting, but Leo had other plans. "Sir, the invitation is an honor, but my commitment is to the United States. There is still much work to be done here." The decision surprised everyone once again, but Leo was convinced. His work was to transform the housing reality in the United States. He couldn't abandon that. He graduated at 20 as the top student in his class. At the graduation ceremony, he gave an emotional speech. 12 years ago, I was a boy sleeping in abandoned buildings, not knowing if I'd have food the next day. Today, I graduate as an architect from the best university in the country. This was only possible because a family decided to love me unconditionally. Catherine, Julian, and Toby, you changed my life. Now it's my turn to change the lives of others. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Leo's journey from a street kid to a graduate architect was one of the most inspiring stories that university had ever witnessed. After graduation, Leo opened his own social architecture firm. Unlike traditional firms that served wealthy clients, Leo's firm focused exclusively on projects for low-income communities. Toby, now 17, decided he wanted to study education. He wanted to work with children in vulnerable situations, inspired by his brother's story. "Leo, I want to help kids like you once were," said Toby. "Toby, you've already helped me more than you know. You gave me something I didn't have, a happy childhood, even if it was late." The conversation moved both brothers. They had grown up together, supported each other, and built a unique fraternal bond. Julian, now nearing 50, decided to retire early to dedicate himself to social projects alongside Leo. His traditional firm had prospered. He had the financial stability to dedicate himself to what truly motivated him. Catherine, in turn, had become an expert in adoption and guardianship. She helped other families navigate the process she had faced years before. It was her way of giving back to society what she had received. The Vance family had transformed into a small family-run NGO, each contributing their talent to help others. On the 10th anniversary of Leo's adoption, they threw a special party. They invited all their friends, colleagues, and office staff. Leo, now 22, made an emotional toast. 10 years ago, Catherine made the bravest decision of her life, to adopt a boy nobody knew. That decision changed not only my life, but the lives of hundreds of families who have benefited from the projects I've been able to develop, because I had a family that believed in me. Leo looked at each family member. "Toby, you taught me that having a brother is having a friend for life. Julian, you showed me that talent without character is worthless. And Catherine, my mother, you gave me the most valuable thing there is, unconditional love." The party was beautiful, but what stood out most was its simplicity. Despite all the fame and recognition, the Vance family maintained simple values: love, respect, humility. Chloe and Leo had gotten married the previous year, in a simple, intimate ceremony, just for family and close friends. She had integrated completely into the family, also working on social projects. The couple's first project was a school in an underprivileged community. Leo handled the architecture, Chloe the educational program. The school became a national benchmark for education in vulnerable communities. Toby graduated with a degree in education at 22 and began working at the school Leo and Chloe had created. The circle was complete. The family formed by love now dedicated itself to forming other families and other children. Julian retired from commercial architecture, dedicated himself to teaching at technical courses, training new architects with social awareness. It was his way of multiplying the impact of the work. Catherine became a national reference on adoption. She wrote a book about her experience and gave talks to parents interested in adopting. She had already helped hundreds of families form through adoption. When Leo turned 25, they took stock of the last 15 years. What they had achieved was impressive. Leo had designed housing for more than 10,000 families. The social architecture firm was a national benchmark. Toby had become one of the most respected educators in the city. Julian had trained more than 500 new social architects. Catherine had facilitated more than 200 adoption processes. Chloe had created an educational methodology used in 50 schools. But the numbers weren't the most important thing. The most important thing was that they had proven something fundamental. A family doesn't need to be biological to be real. The love we choose is as strong as the love we inherit. Leo never heard from his biological family again, but he also never felt the lack. His true family was the one that had welcomed, loved, supported, and challenged him to be the best version of himself. In one of Leo's last television interviews, he was asked about the secret to his success. "The secret isn't talent," he replied. "Many children have talent. The secret is having a family that believes in you, that supports you, that loves you unconditionally. I was just a frightened kid on the street. My family gave me the conditions to become who I am today." "And what is your biggest project for the future?" Leo smiled. "My biggest project is to be a good son, a good brother, a good husband. Everything else is a consequence. End of story. Now tell me, what did you think of this inspiring story? Do you think Catherine made the right decision adopting Leo? How do you think the future of this very special family will be? Leave your honest opinion in the comments. I love reading what you think. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one. Your participation makes all the difference. Thank you so much for your company.